Okay, I realized that my last video did not have sound, so I'm gonna do this again. Once again, I did not tell anybody that I was going live, so this is at a really random time. Everybody's at work. I'm sorry, but I wanted to hop on because I just posted a new blog post about 5 ways to travel Europe for cheap. A few weeks ago, I posted something about being able to travel the world and work online, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people just want to go on vacation, but they don't know when, they don't know where to start. And a lot of people see Europe as this unattainable destination, which is what I saw it as. I thought you needed to be like a multi-millionaire to travel Europe. And definitely did not think that I'd be traveling Europe in my 20s and going to 7 countries in Europe within the matter of 2 months. So again, I'm going to tell you the best 5 ways to save and travel Europe for cheap. And I'll go in more detail in my blog, so I'll just give you a quick overview. But the first step is to be your own travel agent. Do research on your own. A lot of people just go abroad when it's most convenient for them, or try to, and that's not the way to travel for cheap, especially for Americans. Do a quick Google search into like the worst times to travel Europe or off seasons, things like that. Like that's how I went to Greece, because we went in August, which was an off season for them. There was nobody in the city when we got there. It was a ghost town, which ended up being really cool. We got to see everything without the crowds, but it was really cheap to fly there. And I was able to do that, 1, by doing a Google search, and 2, which leads me into my next point of traveling Europe for cheap, which is finding cheap flights. I have 2 sources that I swear by, Skyscanner and Momondo. Skyscanner is my number 1. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, I end up purchasing through Skyscanner because they have this feature. It's called Search Flights Everywhere. And what you can do is you can put in your current location, and then as the location you're going to, you can put everywhere. So it'll search everywhere in the world. And then the time that you travel, you can just choose find cheapest month. So it'll tell you the cheapest time for you to fly, down to the date, and the cheapest place for you to go to. So let's say you're starting in Iowa, you do a search for everywhere for the cheapest month. Probably Mexico, Canada is going to be one of them, but it'll also tell you the cheapest places to go in Ireland. I did a quick search for Iowa, and sorry, not in Ireland, in Europe. And Ireland came up. It was only $400 for round trip flights to Ireland. I found that through Skyscanner. Use it. Also, step or tip 3 is to pack minimally. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm traveling the world with only 1 bag. I started with 2, I'm down to 1, and it keeps getting smaller. I am down to 10 kilograms or 22 pounds. And when you're traveling abroad, usually you can get up to a 50-pound bag. Do not travel with a 50-pound bag. I used to take up that 50 fucking pounds, like as much as I could. I would overpack like crazy and ended up not using 75% of the stuff in my bag. So if you pack minimally and you only pack a carry-on bag, not only can you travel through the airport easily, check in easily, but you can save money. You don't have to pay for upgrades for your bags if your airline doesn't offer free checked bags. So it's just easy, it's convenient, and one way to cut down on size is to buy travel size items once you get to Europe. So I used to go to Target before a trip and fucking like ransack the travel size products. I would buy everything, Q-tips, hairspray, everything. And you can buy all of that in Europe. European people use all those things. So save the space for souvenirs, and only pack a little bit in some contact cases, put a little face wash and face lotion in some contact cases to get you through the flight. And then once you get to Europe, stop by the convenience store and buy travel size items once you get there. So once you get there, you need a hotel. And that leads me to tip 4, which is to only stay in Airbnbs or hostels if you have to. I prefer Airbnbs for 3 reasons. 1, they're cheap, but 2, you get to live amongst the people. Like right now, I'm sitting in my backyard underneath a tree in the middle of Prague, which I wouldn't get to do if I was staying in a hotel, because hotels are normally in touristy areas, so you only interact with tourists. I've got to meet people from every city that I've been in because I've got to interact with the hosts on my Airbnb. So it's like you have a built-in friend and a built-in reference once you get there. So that's super nice. And then my absolute favorite reason and number 1 reason for staying in Airbnbs is I get to cook my own meals. And instead of spending $5 to $20 per meal, I only have to spend $1 to $3. And days that I go out and I want to explore, I just pack a freezable lunch bag with some food and I stop at a park and I eat in between museums and sightseeing. So I save a ton of money that way. And I get to go to farmers markets and pick out my produce, which I love. The final and best tip, I think, for traveling Europe for cheap is to take buses. So once you actually get to Europe, once you find your cheap ticket and you get there, you don't have to stay in that location. I started in Greece and now I'm in Czech Republic. I'm in Prague. And the way I got there was by bus. Now, I, as a kid, hated buses for 100 reasons, but this is not your typical school bus or city bus. These are like luxury Lakers charter buses. You have Wi-Fi, you have toilets, you have reclining seats and tons of space, and you have outlets, and some of them even have TVs. And it's so much better than taking flights. 1, because it's cheaper, but 2, because it's quicker. Well, not the travel time, but the process. So all you have to do is get to the bus stop 10, 15 minutes before the bus leaves, put your bag on the bus and go. You don't have to go through TSA. You don't have to do all of that stuff that you have to do in the airport that takes forever. You just get on the bus and you go. So once you actually get there, this is like a little bonus tip, but take public transportation. You're supposed to technically buy a ticket to ride a train or a bus in Europe, but 99% of the time they don't check. I need to like knock on wood or something, but they don't check your ticket or for a ticket at all. So we've been traveling around Europe basically for free. We only take taxis when it's late at night, but you can get from one side of the city for free. So that is my bonus tip, but these 5 tips have allowed me to travel through Europe for cheap and without stress. And I really recommend these tips, especially for Americans, because I know there's this idea that Europe is this unattainable place to go to, and it really is not. You can do it. You can do it for cheap. You just have to be flexible and you have to plan. And yes, that's it. If you have any other questions or any more tips, or you're planning a trip and you want help planning, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything else you want to know about travel or feminism, since I'm kind of transitioning to freelance feminism in the Hive. So thank you for joining, and I will see you again soon.